welcome to the Graduate Job Podcast, your home for weekly information and inspiration to help you get the graduate job of your dreams.
Hello and welcome to the Graduate Job Podcast with your host, James Curran. The Graduate Job Podcast is your home for all things related to helping you on your journey to find that amazing job. Each episode I bring together the best minds in the industry, speaking to leading authors, graduate recruiters and career coaches who bring decades of experience into a bite-sized weekly 30-minute-ish show. Put simply, this is a show I wish I had when I graduated. Hello dear listener, welcome to the second show of the year and episode 125 of the UK's #1 careers podcast. And I've got a very special episode for you today. Joining me on the show is a company that you're going to want to check out if you're looking for a graduate job, as I speak with Ben Rosen, CEO of Inspiring Interns. Inspiring Interns are a company who can help you find a 3-month paid internship across a range of industries and locations. There is no cost to you. You bring your graduate talent and they sort out the rest. On the show, we explore all aspects of the process, from why you should apply and the power of internships, not only in getting you a graduate role, but in helping you find the role that is right for you. We cover the different stages of the process and how you can stand out in each, through to making a great impression when you do start your job. No matter what companies you're applying to, if you've never thought of an internship before, this is an episode you won't want to miss. Now, the only link you need to remember from today is graduatejobpodcast.com/inspiring interns, where you can find a full transcript and links to everything which we discuss. That's graduatejobpodcast.com/inspiring interns. Before we start, a quick message from me. This episode is going out in the middle of January, where the graduate application process gets very serious, with video interviews and assessment centres coming thick and fast. This is where you need to start taking it seriously, and it's not the time to start leaving things to chance. If you want to ensure that you are in the best possible shape ahead of interviews, assessment centres, group exercise, role plays, whatever it might be, get in touch. I offer one-on-one coaching, and I'm also running mock group exercises over the coming months so you can practice those in a group setting. And if you really want to get ready, there is my flagship How to Get a Graduate Job course, which it's never too late or too early to sign up to. You wouldn't take a driving test without having lessons beforehand, so why would you want to take a recorded video interview or go to an assessment centre without getting practice in first? You get one shot to impress, so get in touch at graduatejobpodcast.com/coaching and see how I can help. You'll be glad you did, but be quick though, as I only have a limited number of slots and they are filling up very quickly. That's graduatejobpodcast.com/coaching. Right, with that said, let's jump in to my chat with Ben Rosen from Inspiring Interns. A very warm welcome to the show today, Ben Rosen, CEO and founder of Inspiring Interns. Ben, welcome to the Graduate Job Podcast.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
And today we're going to dive in and find out more about Inspiring Interns and what you do as a company and why listeners should be paying close attention to find out how you can help them on their search for graduate jobs of different kinds. So to maybe kick us off, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and also Inspiring Interns?
Yeah, sure. My name's Ben Rosen. I set up Inspiring Interns 13 years ago. Kind of with the goal of helping companies troll through the growing amount of candidates looking for new graduate opportunities. And the kind of competitive advantage that we kind of came up with in the beginning was to create a video CV of the person to enable them to create the best version of themselves and to put themselves forward to employers. So we've been going for 13 years and we've placed about 11,000 people in jobs. And internships, so in a whole range of areas. So it's all good, and we're growing nicely.
Yeah, lots of happy graduates over the years. And is there particular types of companies that you work with in terms of internships and also permanent roles?
We work with all range of different clients, but I guess about 25% of our roles are in digital advertising, digital media, mobile advertising, things in the digital space. That's kind of where my network was, where we began. So kind of grown it from there.
Yep, a real growing market, that in the whole digital realm, especially sort of the online advertising realm. As a company then, so why do you think internships are so important to graduates?
Well, the reason why I think they're important is that they give the graduate an opportunity to experience a role in the workplace, because before they're choosing the role they want to do, then everything kind of they look upon it theoretically, and it's quite difficult to navigate what you're best at, the best role for you, and the best environment. You don't know what it is until you try different environments and different roles to see what you're best at and see what you like best. And it enables you to put your toe in the water, to take a 3-month internship. And if you do well, you could get a job at the end of it. At the same token, if it's not quite right for you, you could then apply for another internship at the end of that internship with something more relevant or more suited to your skill set.
Yep. And, the experience you're going to get as you do them is going to be amazing. It's going to look great in your CV. And a real thing that's going to help as well is just finding out what you enjoy and, more importantly, what you don't enjoy, especially when you're looking further down the line at your career. So, internships are super, super powerful when you're applying for grad jobs. In terms of the internships you offer, are they all paid or some of them voluntary?
All our internships are paid internships. We specialize in getting graduates internships. Yep. So we do have a small percentage of time, a very small, maybe 1% of the placements we do are people in their first or second year at university. We specialize in getting graduates internships. So that's our sweet spot.
Excellent. So if I'm a graduate, recently finished university, what would you recommend then in terms of getting in touch or reaching out to yourselves? What's the process for candidates?
Yeah, so what we recommend is they go on the website, they work out what type of role they want to do first of all. So that's the most important thing. So, for example, marketing or sales or an analyst or job type. So pick the job type that you want to do, and then once you've done that, you can then work out what job types exist in different sectors. Now, the reason why I say go that way around, as opposed to I want to work in the music industry and secondly I want to do marketing, is that somebody in the music industry hiring a marketeer doesn't want somebody who wants to work in the music industry. They want somebody who wants to do marketing.
Yep.
Predominantly. If you're great at marketing in a music company, you can also transfer your skills to do marketing in a finance company or in another sector. So it's very easy to move sectors. It's very difficult to move job type.
Yep.
It's more difficult. You may not know what you want to do, but you may know that you're more of a people-orientated person. So that, would be using your communication skills, which may be writing in PR, or it may be being an account executive for an advertising agency. Or you might be more numerate and prefer working on your own, which may lead you to be more analytical. So, what we try and do is ask them to go to the website, have a look at the different jobs available and job roles, and then think about what they're best at, and to really then create a profile with us by registering on our inspiringinterns.com and then creating a video CV, which is almost like a short 30-second to 1-minute elevator pitch, kind of saying what you're best at and the reasons why and what you want to do. This saves you a lot of time, and it gives you a better opportunity of getting a job if you do a video CV. We found that you've got a 3 times more chance of landing a job that you want with having a video CV. Also makes the process a lot easier for clients.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what we recommend to do.
Excellent. And you mentioned that only a very, 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 very small percent of the internships are for people in, first and second years. When people think of internships, they tend to think, of the summer. So, starting in, say, July, going through to September. Well, especially when they were sort of, face to face. Your internships, I guess, is it? Do they run throughout the year, or the internships you offer?
So we're all year round. Our busiest time of year is actually in January.
Okay.
So we work with companies who are looking to hire people in the next month, as opposed to, though we do run a couple of grant schemes for people like Rathbones if you want to do accountancy, but the majority of the times we're dealing with people who are looking for a job in the next month.
And in terms of the geographic spread, is it, heavy in London? Are you?
Yeah, we're predominantly London-based. About 80% of our roles are in London. We do, though, place people in Manchester and Brighton and Glasgow and Edinburgh and Bristol. But we just don't have as big a reach in those places.
Anything up in Leeds?
Yeah, we do actually. We have about 5 clients in Leeds. We've got advertising agencies.
There you go, listeners. Make sure you get applying for those ones up in Leeds and come up to the promised land.
The Dallas of the North.
That's the one. So you mentioned video CVs there, which I know can be a little daunting for people. Often, getting in front of the camera and doing a little CV. What advice would you give people then? How to stand out when they do a video CV?
Just to be themselves, to be honest, and to smile and be relevant. So if you say, I'm best at doing sales, give an example. For example, in the summer I had a job in a call center and I, was the second highest biller on the call center, whatever it may be. Or just to give a real example, it doesn't need to sound incredible. It just shows that you back up your statements with some relevant information, some relevant facts.
Yep, and it's an impressive stat you said about if you do a video CV, it's you're 3 times more likely to get hired by one of your clients.
Yeah, that's true. The reason is that. Video CV really cuts out the first interview because it enables the client to see the candidate. And there's a lot of things with hiring somebody in a job, which it's more of an art than a science. And it's all about getting on with the person, fitting in. Would they fit well into the team? Mm-hmm. And it gives the candidate an opportunity to show himself in the best light, in a casual manner, and to really, outline what they want to do, the reason why they want to do it, smile and show their energy and enthusiasm. So that's a really good video CV can increase your chances of getting a job by tenfold. At the same token, a bad video CV doesn't help you get a job.
Yep.
So you have to make sure that you got a friend or a member of your family holding your phone up. It's in a quiet location. You're wearing, if you're a guy, you're wearing something office guy or a girl, you're wearing office wear, office attire, so they can imagine you in their office.
Yep, I was on your website and having a look through a few of the video CVs, and they're impressive. You can see people have really put the time and energy in, and you, even though it's they're short video CVs, you do get a feel of the candidate. Their personality does come through, and as you said, it does just replace that initial conversation that you go through in the normal initial interview stage.
Yeah, and it can be daunting, and I do empathize. And what I recommend people to do is, when they go on the Inspiring Interns website, is pretend they're an employer and click on View Our Top Talent. And then they can view other people's video CVs and see how they're positioning themselves and learn from them.
Great advice. And links to everything that we discussed today can be found over in the show notes at graduatejobpodcast.com/inspiring interns is the name of the link today, where you can find a link to Inspiring Interns and just how you can go about applying. So before we maybe move into the application process in more detail, just covering off a few of the things that I know might be in listeners' minds. The first of which is, does it cost me anything to work with yourselves?
No, it's free.
Which is always good to hear for recently graduated with a large student debt. Free works well for you. And what type of salary can people expect from the interns, or do they vary on a company by company basis?
Yeah, it really depends. So starting salaries are highest in the city if you want to do finance. So those roles tend to start around 35,000. If you're looking to do marketing for a media company, you're looking at a starting salary on average of about 25,000. So our starting salaries now the average starting salary is 24,000.
Yeah. So as you'd expect then, if you're going into the city, you're going to be burning the candle at both ends. Yeah, you do get paid more. And what is the average length then of the internships? Is it 3 months or do they vary?
Well, we just use the word internship, but we class that as a 3-month internship, a 6-month internship, or even a full-time job.
Okay.
So the goal is the internship leads to a job at the end of it. So it gives them the opportunity of proving themselves and kind of creating a role for themselves, and making themselves indispensable. That may mean like staying 15 minutes later every day, demonstrating a good attitude, showing that they're a team player. And 70% of our internships turn into full-time jobs historically.
I was going to ask you that next, which is a really impressive start. So it just shows just how well the candidates must be doing. That what might start off as a temporary role becomes permanent when they get in there, land, and impress. So that's a really impressive stat there. So if we move on to the application process, you mentioned about applying via the website. Maybe if we talk more holistically though first, what is it that you look for from graduates?
We look for people who follow up. So, I have a team of people who represent our candidates, and, we don't ask for candidates to exclusively work with us, but what we do ask is that, if we have a request for an interview, that they come back to us within a day. And if they've been to an interview, to follow up with the interviewer, thank them for their time. It's all about following up. So the first impressions can be all well and good, but the long-lasting impression lasts with the person who's followed up politely and with enthusiasm.
Yep.
Because that's the type of people they want to work with. So, it's all about attitude. You can train a skill, but you can't change the attitude. And a great attitude can get you a long way. The idea is just, to find something you like doing. Because if you like doing it, you tend to be good at it. The second point is to find something where the people around you are going to learn something from them. So you're going to sharpen your own saw, in effect. And it shows that you're continually learning and trying to improve yourself. And this is just the beginning.
No, that's great advice. And if listeners, if you're not sort of following up and keen when you get offered a job interview, then this is a stage of the process where you want to be showing yourself in the best possible light. It doesn't give someone a great impression of what you're going to be like if you were to get the job. So, if you're not keen at this stage, when are you ever going to be keen? So good advice there, Ben.
And it's also really important. I know it sounds silly, but they're completely accurate with the grades they got at school and university. I do checks on their school A-level grades and their university degrees. And some of our clients wanted to do checks on people's GCSE results. And we found that some people kind of may have changed a C to a B in their GCSE maths. And if they have done, they're straight out the process. We won't work with them.
Yeah.
And the client, we've had 2 occasions where clients wanted to hire candidates. They wouldn't have minded if they'd have got, for example, a C at GCSE maths. But because they were dishonest about it, they couldn't hire them. So it's very important, don't worry about if, you can't change what you've done in the past. What you can do is show your attitude and willingness and just to work hard and to
lie. What, in terms of their grades? So is it just that small percentage?
Well, we didn't used to check a lot. It's a very small percentage, but it's a real shame when they have done, because it means that we can't help them get a job.
Definitely. I mean, if you're gonna lie, you're changing it from a C, you might as well go A star. If you're gonna lie, go all in, as opposed to just changing it to
exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah, right.
But completely agree. I mean, again, what does it say about you as a candidate in terms of honesty and professionalism if you're caught lying at this stage? So look, if you didn't get what you wanted at GCSE or A level, own it, embrace it, and I'm sure you use it to your advantage and turn it into a story about how, I was so disappointed with my A levels that I really focused at university and, knuckled down, managed to get a 2-1 first, et cetera, whatever it is.
Yeah, you've shown the tenacity. There's tenacity that's needed, and, that also people want to see. People want to see you make mistakes and how you've dealt with them, because everybody makes mistakes. So it's not about making the mistake, it's about how you deal with it.
Completely agree. So, make sure you're not lying, because companies will check, they will check these things. So, you don't want to fall at once you get a job interview, so you get the offer and then have to get it rescinded because you're lying. It's not a good look at all. So, make sure you're not doing that business. We mentioned earlier about the video CV. So is that the initial stage of the process then? So candidates complete a video CV?
Yeah, you go on the website, the final bit of registration is creating a video CV. So you'll have a helping hand with our team in the office who will to complete it. And so once it's completed and we're happy with it, then we publish it and then we start representing you.
And what be the next stage then? So I create a cracking video CV. I'm looking nice and smart in front of the camera. It's set up properly, nicely lit, all that good stuff. What be the next stage?
Then you go on our website and you apply to the jobs that you want to go for. Okay. So you simply have a one-click apply button for each role. And then our roles are represented by account managers. And these account managers will come back to you and arrange the interviews, give you feedback. And so that's the process.
And does it tend to be, I know from the graduates I'm coaching through some of the big graduate scheme applications for some of the big companies, it's a long and drawn out process with applications going in September, October, and, offers sometimes not being made till March, February, April, May time sometimes. I'm guessing it's a quicker process for yourselves. Yeah,
so if you apply to a job on the Monday, we can give you feedback for the job on the Wednesday. Typically it takes 2 days because our guys are immediately looking and they need the open vacancy filled as soon as possible.
And how many rounds of interviews can candidates expect?
It really depends. On average, it's 2 interviews. Sometimes it's 3. Normally now it's a Zoom interview and then a face-to-face meetup. It's normally the process at the moment.
Yeah. And would there often be an assessment centre included at the final stage or just more face-to-face interviews?
There's quite a few of our finance clients want maths and verbal reasoning tests. But apart from that, quite a few of our finance clients want maths and verbal reasoning tests. But apart from that, it's mainly just, so there are some verbal reasoning tests sometimes, but most of the time they're not. We don't have assessment centres. When we're running like Rathbones Graduate Scheme, which is a big finance company, they have assessment centres, but all we're doing is doing the attraction for them, and then we pass it to them, and they manage the assessment centre. Small and medium-sized businesses.
Yep. And what are some of the ways that candidates can stand out once they get to that interview stage?
Just be themselves. Like, don't be somebody that they want to be. Don't be somebody that, it's almost like frustrating when you just graduated and you want to run before you can walk. And you start creating a version of yourself in a year's time. But, be in the moment, listen well in the interview, get the interviewer talking. The more they talk, the more they like you.
Yep.
And ask a clever question. So it shows you've done some research. When I say some research, i.e., you're going for an interview at Google, maybe Google is, in the Google Maps department, let's say. And so it'd be really important to look at all the news around, maps and the technology and the competitors and the growth of the market space, and come up with a clever question around it, showing that you've done some research.
Yep. And the flip side then, what are some of the common mistakes that people tend to make at this part of the process?
They don't follow up well enough. They are maybe over-enthusiastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's really about just being themselves. And, talk about, if there's an issue, for example, around a long commute, this is going to be a large issue, then talk about it, in a mature way. Is there any way that they could start half an hour later and finish half an hour later, for example? But maybe be best doing that at the beginning once you realise the commute's a long way, or they're not prepared for the interview. They're not done research into understanding, who's this guy on LinkedIn? What do people say about him? What's he done previously? Do I have any shared connections? And build rapport with the person. So if you find a common interest ground that, his hobby is paragliding and you're keen on paragliding, it's a good time to talk about it.
Yep.
Because it shows you've had a look at him. It shows you've done your research, and you can have a conversation about something you're both interested in, which would make them like you more. Let's hope. But it's not just about likability. It's about being concise and being yourself.
Excellent, and that's great advice there. And the research is a key one. You need to make sure that you understand the company, you understand what they do, you understand their products, you understand the competitors. As you said, you understand if they've been in the news recently. All that information. You need to make sure you put the time in.
And you maybe also, a lot of people ask, why do you want to work for us? Why us? Having an answer to that at hand is always good, because you can always say the reason why I want to work for you, if they don't answer the question, is because you're the leader in this space. 5 years ago, you only did this turnover. Now you're doing this. I want to be a part of the journey. I want to do my very best to help you achieve your goals.
No, that's great advice, sir. And what advice would you give candidates to then, when they actually get the job, to hit the ground running once they start?
Always be slightly early. If you don't know how to do something, ask a question. When they've given you the answer, write it down. If you don't then understand it, still ask again and explain to them why you don't understand it. Don't say, yes, you understand, even a second time if you still don't understand it. It'll only bite you in the bum in the long run. Look sharp. Have a can-do attitude. Ask if they want anything, anything you can do to help. A lot of being working in your first job is making your boss look good. Yep. Freeing them up, freeing their time up. Because that's all we've got, is having the opportunity to free them up and enabling them to focus on something that's slightly more important, or something that they're better at. Then that's being a team player, and that's what people want. People say, what is a whatever it takes person? you only know when they're working for you or with you, because they go the extra mile. Nothing's too much trouble. And they're lovely to work with and polite and always say please and thank you. You look at the ways people are writing emails in a business way. You don't use slang, and learn from them the way they format their emails, the font they're using, and make sure you write everything down. You're organized. So yeah, I guess it's just be prepared and on time.
Great advice there, and making your boss look good.
Prepared and on time.
Great advice there, and making your boss look good is it's one to stick with you throughout your career, not just in your first job. That always goes down well. If you can always make your boss look good, then you'll always do well at work. So brilliant advice there, Ben, for us to finish the main part of the interview on. And as I mentioned earlier, listeners,
I did. Sorry to interrupt, but I did an internship when I graduated 24 years ago at Walt Disney in the finance department. And I learned after doing that internship that finance was not for me. But I did learn a lot of skills about how to write emails, how to present myself better than I did previously. So it is all a learning curve, and make the most of it.
And if you learn something that you don't want to do, that's just as valuable as learning something that you do want to do. If you always, as long as you're learning from each of the work you do, then you will be, as Ben said, you'll be going in the right direction on that journey.
Yeah.
So listeners, links to everything we discussed today over in the show notes at graduatejobpodcast.com/inspiring interns. Now, Ben, moving on to the weekly staple questions. I'm interested for your responses here. First question up, what one book would you recommend that listeners need to read?
It's called Who Moved My Cheese by Kenneth Blanchard and Spencer Johnson. And it's about change. It's a simple little book you could read in about an hour, but it's all about change and how to, and you constantly have to reinvent yourself, not get lazy and complacent. And it really I really enjoyed that story, and it always resonates with me when I'm thinking about fear of change. I think it says in there that fear is false expectations appearing real. And yeah, it was really just always think back to that and think, I need to reinvent myself, Ben. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Yep, no, great book recommendation. I can remember reading it in India actually, and on a bus. My friend bought it from a little bookshop by the side of the road. And like you said, he finished it in an hour and was like, wow, this is really good. And then I read it and then passed it on to another friend who all read it. So we all read it within about 3 hours, and it's a really good book. I'd still remember Cheese Station C. Need to make sure you're not at Cheese Station C.
Yes.
But it's, book. I'd still remember Cheese Station C. Need to make sure you're not at Cheese Station C.
Yes.
But it's, definitely well worth a read, especially at the early stage of your career where you're going to be faced with lots of change. So a great book recommendation there. And again, that one will be linked to in the show notes. So great start there, Ben. Next question, what internet resource or website would you recommend to listeners?
This has been a more difficult one. So I don't have one individual resource. What I would say is that it's really important to look at the trade press of a certain industry that you're interested in, a certain role that you're interested in. And each sector and job type will be different for trade press. So if it's mobile advertising, there'll be, I think, Mobile Advertising Association website and magazine. If it's to do with finance, and I think maybe, it's about reading the leading titles like the Financial Times and reading the business pages of the Evening Standard every day, so you get to understand what different businesses do. So I don't really have one resource. I mean, to find a job, Our blog is very useful to look at, our Inspiring Interns blog. But when you're looking for another type of website, there isn't one individual one. It just depends what they're interested in doing.
No, that's great advice. So with the trade press, just being able to talk the language of the industry that you're going into, just understanding the terms, understanding the key players, what's going on, invaluable. And no matter what industry you're applying to, there will be some sort of trade press. Just have a quick Google and find out what that is, and it will stand you in good stead there. So final, Ben, what one tip can listeners implement today to help them on their job search?
To remember that it's a numbers game, and it's all not about how people take success, but it's about how they take rejection. It just reminds me of when, look at Kentucky Fried Chicken, the guy, Colonel Sanders, he went to 1,300 people, different shops, before somebody took on his Kentucky Fried Chicken special recipe. And he didn't stop until he got there. So it's a question of being tenacious, question of understanding the numbers. So if you think that you've applied to 20 places, actually make sure that you have applied to 20 places, because sometimes it may feel like you've applied to 20, you've only applied to 5.
Yep.
And take the rejection when you get it as one step closer to get. And so if you take that attitude, every time you get rejection, it's good news, because although it's annoying and it's frustrating, but it is one step closer to getting the job you want. And don't dwell on the disappointment. Use it as an energy to apply to more places. We're in a very competitive space, and it can be very easy to look around you and look through their rose-tinted glasses of everybody doing well, everything being perfect in everybody else's work life. And trust me, that is not the case. People, I still don't know what I want to do. It's a learning process, and you have to be very tenacious and maybe keep the rejections, deal with them in the best way you can, and maybe not share it with everybody. They may find that easier, but make sure you keep applying. If you haven't got lots of rejection, then you're not sure you keep applying. If you haven't got lots of rejection, then you're not doing your job application well. So it's about, experiencing rejection, maybe getting feedback from when you've been rejected, saying, thank you very much, I really appreciate it. Could you help me how I could improve? Because not many people ask that question. And once they give you feedback, then you can learn from that. So it is sometimes very difficult to get feedback from companies that are hiring for many positions, but you can only ask. Definitely. I would also make sure you keep your LinkedIn well updated. Whenever you apply to a job, add the person on LinkedIn, or when you go to an interview, add them onto LinkedIn, thank them for the interview. Keep that LinkedIn growing, because you'll find that it'll be very useful in years to come.
100%. Great advice there. And rejection is a part of applying for a graduate job. There are no candidates who don't get rejected for some roles. So you can learn from it. If you can improve 5% with each job you apply for, that's a huge improvement over the course of not many applications. Great advice there, Ben. So thank you so much for appearing on the Graduate Job Podcast today. What's the best way that people can get in touch with you and find out more about Inspiring Interns?
Yeah, so they can. My name's Ben Rosen. They're happily to add me on LinkedIn. In terms of finding a job, the best thing to do is to go on the website, register, create a video CV. And if there's any issue, having any issues, just contact me. And I'm Ben at inspiringinterns.com.
Ben, thank you so much for appearing on the Graduate Job Podcast today.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Many thanks to Ben for coming on the show and sharing his insight today. Make sure you check out Inspiring Interns. They have a range of amazing opportunities for you. If you get a 3-month role and do well, odds on they will make you an offer. If it's not for you, you come away with 3 months of brilliant work experience, which will help you as you move forward for your next role. Check out the show notes today for a full transcript, which you can download, and links to everything we discuss over at graduatejobpodcast.com/inspiring interns. And don't forget, no matter where you are on your job search at the moment, I am here and able to help. Whether it is one-off coaching to get you prepped for an assessment centre, practice mock group exercises, through to my flagship How to Get a Graduate Job online course, I have something for you. Getting a graduate job is so much easier if you aren't struggling by yourself. I've helped coach hundreds of people to get the graduate job of their dreams, and I'll be able to do the same for you. So check out graduatejobpodcast.com/inspiring interns, where you can find links to my coaching, the online course, and how you can book on upcoming mock group exercises. Don't be a stranger, and make sure you do get in touch. And also, a final request from me, if you've enjoyed the show today, please can you like and leave me a review wherever you downloaded it. It helps to keep me high in the rankings and for new people to find the show, and I will be forever grateful. So that is everything from me this week. Join me in 2 weeks' time when I have the brilliant Michael Tafula back on the show. It's a goodie. I hope you enjoyed the show today, but more importantly, I hope you use it and apply it.